Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name's Donna and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Donna.
And I don't know how much you want to know about her, but I will say this. I've known Diane for decades and I have watched what the road has been like for her. And I just want to say I'm super grateful to be able to introduce her to you tonight as your suspect speaker. Thank you for saying this.
Yes. Well, hey everybody. I'm Diane. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey,
Diane. I've been called a lot of things. I don't know if I'm being called a suspect. Maybe, probably. Let's see. My sobriety date is February 1st, 2023. I've been around for a long time, as many of you know, and I kept coming back. And that's why I'm alive today. And I kept coming back for a number of different reasons and purposes. But when I came back for myself is when things really started working. So I'm grateful for that. I'm going to just start out with something that we all are familiar with, and it's just the very beginning of how it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates, they are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. And then they go on. And it says, if you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. And further on, half measures availed us nothing. So at one point, I was thoroughly convinced that I was one of those people that was, I'm just constitutionally incapable of being honest with myself. I told my sponsor, and she says, I'm not buying that. And stopped blowing smoke up my ass. So I've heard a lot of good things from. I've had a lot of different sponsors. I've had a lot of different home groups. Right now, my home group is PTP, which is Practice These Principles. It meets Zoom and in person, and I started doing that during COVID. And it's a good group, and it's a literature based. So basically, what happened, what it's like, what happened, what it was like, what happened, what it's like now. I'm from a family of alcoholics, and the elusiveness of the first drink for me was when I was 13 years old, and I loved it, and I didn't want to ever experience anything different than that. I remember where I was, who I was with, what we were drinking, what song we were singing, and I didn't go out and drink the next day, as the progression goes. When I relapsed in 2004, after having almost 4 years of sobriety, it was right back to the very next day. And it was not a spiral, it was a drop off. It was just consequence. So, coupled with alcoholism in my family being a normal thing, I didn't know any other life than that. And then also accompanied by mental health issues, anxiety, depression, growing up in a family that you don't ask for help. If you want something done right, you do it yourself. So that was kind of ingrained in me. And I still have issues with that today, which when I thought they were attributes are actually character defects. So I work on that on a daily basis, believe me. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? So basically, the one thing that I thought about with what happened, basically, why couldn't I get sober earlier? And I asked myself that. And what did I not do? I didn't surrender. I was willing to do some things at times I would work the steps. A lot of times I was just abstinent. I wasn't working a program. But when I actually completely surrendered, and it took a long time, things changed. Things changed, and I was able to be completely honest, which is something that it was very difficult to do. Um, and I was willing, if not willing to be willing. So I have something that I got on a card years ago, and I keep it in my 12 by 12. And it says, remember, it's not your willpower that keeps you sober. It's God's grace. Let him in. Learn to trust your higher power in all things. And I underline in all things, because if I don't believe that, then I can't go on. Today, I have a God jar, and I put things in my God jar because I have to realize that there's things that are bigger out there than me, and I can't control it. I can't make it better. I can't fix it, because that's what I did my whole life, was trying to fix this person, that person, my mom, everything, my boyfriends, and I can't. And today I deal with my son, who is one of us, and I can't fix him. But I can stay sober for him, so that when he comes to me and says, Mom, I need help, that I'm there for him. So the way I wanted it was, I wanted the easier, softer way. That's why I read this first part. I wanted to do half measures. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I thought that I could just pick my way of doing it and make it work. And I tried a bajillion different ways, and none of them worked. And I was very stubborn. I still am. Another character defect. But I had to say, okay, this is just not working anymore. And I had numerous consequences could have been extremely horrible outcomes. 2 weeks after that relapse in 2004, my son, who was 2.5 years old, got out of the apartment. That was a new apartment that I lived in, and walked up onto Aurora Avenue and came within 10 feet from being hit by a bus. And I didn't realize he was missing until after he was already at CPS. And you think that would help, keep me to stop drinking, but it didn't. And it goes on and on. There was numerous consequences, jails. Like I said, I stayed sober for a lot of reasons, for CPS, for, my first exposure was a DWI in my early 20s. I had no intention on getting sober. I went to the meetings, I got my slip signed, and I went home. And I conned my way through 2 years of probation. So the consequences would only bring temporary abstinence, not sobriety. So staying and abstaining for everything and everyone but myself, because I think at the end I truly felt like I didn't deserve it. And I was at the point of giving up. So I was just miserable. I had a sponsor that said it was really fun. It was really fun when I was 13 years old, at Aqua Club, drinking Galliano and smoking cigarettes with my friend. And it was really fun at times when I went out when I was 20. Then it was just kind of fun, because there was a few consequences of getting in trouble at work. And then it was just no fun at all. It wasn't fun going to jail. It wasn't fun having to see the look on my son's face when yet I relapsed again, and his little heart was broken. And then it was just misery and hopelessness, where I wasn't able to work. I didn't shower. I'd get my son off to school, and I'd just basically get some beer from the AM/PM and lay on the couch. What are we doing time-wise, Nikki? I'm almost done. Okay. So today, I don't have to do those things. And today I have a job that I love. That was a career that I had before I blew it all up with drugs and alcohol, that I've been at for over a year, which is kind of almost a record for me. Kind of. And I go to meetings, and I work with my sponsor, and I've been through the 12 steps, and now we're working back on step 1. And, surrender and acceptance. I have to accept the way things are, at least right now, today. maybe it'll get different, but I don't have any control over it. It goes into my God chart. And I just do what's in front of me every day. Some days are hard, but I don't have to drink over it. And I know that because I come to meetings and I hear things that are happening to people that they haven't drank over. And I think, God, if they can get through that, I can get through this. And that's what keeps me sober. And I love all of you guys. I'd love to talk more. Like I said, I have to keep an eye on the clock. One last thing I want to say is I read this somewhere and I couldn't find it, but I think I can kind of remember it. I read this at the if only, and it says these two words together are the saddest phrase in the English language. And they truly are, because I can't sit. If only I had not taken that drink on July 31st, 2004. If only I had never met this guy at the Aerosmith concert and ended up becoming addicted to cocaine and blowing my life up. If only. But if I hadn't met that guy, I wouldn't have met like a really good friend that I've known for like 35 years, and she's still my really good friend. And I probably would never have met Jesse's father, and I wouldn't have had Jess. And so today I'm grateful for those things, and I stay sober one day at a time. So thanks, everybody.